Hello, and welcome back to the Crown Cup. This is the Challenger Division lower bracket semi-finals. It's win or go home. It's do or die. And less than 24 hours after a new patch, it's our screens with an old face vaping back into the lobby. My God, I definitely love Roadhog. My name is Jace. That's Yaffa. Yaffa, how you doing? How you feeling? And yeah, let's just get into it. Let's introduce these teams, and then
How
we
am I?
can
How am I doing?
we
How am
can
I feeling?
talk.
Let's get into it.
Yeah,
Oh, I mean, so many things at once. I mean, we'll skip the intro, right? I mean, obviously, I'm a little cupcake, but not if you find me in ranked because I will be taking names and winning matches. That's for sure. And I certainly hope that one of these two teams is going to be having that same kind of attitude in this upcoming match. And I am really looking forward to seeing how these two teams getting right into the nitty gritty details because one of these teams, Callisto, Callisto. Oh my word, flawless entry. But I hope these teams are far better practiced than me. They we've seen some of the teams within the same org play before. They're somewhat of a familiar name to me, so I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how these guys get along in the
yeah.
upcoming match. Meanwhile, I haven't really seen much of the other team.
Yeah, names I recognise just from around the block were Davo and
Mhm.
Wellard. Their tank and flex support. I've run into them a couple of times in Lad. As you said, they're hoping to continue their bracket run. The most important thing, I believe it's a first to three. I'm going to get at it by my producer if I get this wrong. I believe it's a first to three. As I said, but most importantly, it's lower bracket, so it's do or die, win or go home. Hero bands on as well. I assume normal face-up rules mean you can only ban each side can only ban a character once throughout the series. But playing against VA Callisto today, Ebroth on prod. Let's have a look at our other team, shall we?
Absolutely. The team that I haven't really seen before, Flanktons. And if you are happen to be looking at any of these matches in Face It, unfortunately, the name in Face It is not quite correct. So you are looking at Team Flanktons, not the other team, which is Team It's Sorobi for some reason in Face It. But anyway, that's not where you want to be getting your information. You want to be getting the information from two casters who are trying their best to remember all the details that they have written down on a notepad as
We're
accurately
correct.
as possible.
We're correct.
But I haven't seen any of these. Sorry, I haven't seen this team play before, but I do remember a couple of this name. In particular, Cole CTS is a very familiar name to me.
And of course, I always judge a team at this level. I believe sitting around sort of the mid GM bracket. I think teams at this level, I always look at the batlines in particular because I would say it's sort of around this level where your supports become from passive to aggressive. I think a lot of the time you look at supports that are in Masters as in the bracket, not the Face It tournament. Masters and below, they're more passive. They just kind of live and heal and do their job. But it's sort of at this level where I'm really looking for support to say, okay, can you play make? Do you know how to 3-2 split? Can you pincer? Do you have more than just a Kiriko or an Ana in your wheelhouse? Support is, I think, such a core backbone for any team, and that's one often that is the primary target, potentially alongside a hit stun as well. But yeah, that's always my first look on how good a team is. Like, how well are you utilizing the full depth potential and power, the full kit of your backline?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sure, these players are not going to be the same kind of level of OWCS, but you're still going to be seeing some incredible plays from these teams. And in the past, some of these teams, they've been really on the ball, staying focused. And there's a lot of little details there that really make the difference, especially when you're quite even across the board as a team. Sorry, between the two teams in this kind of level, you do want to be making sure that you are capitalizing on those little details. You want to be quite intentional with your plays. You want to be paying attention, being focused all the time throughout the series. And that can be quite difficult for teams to do. And it can really be one of the key differences between players who are pretty good, but not semi professional.
Yeah, definitely. And just to rebound off that and continue on the point, one thing I always talk about is just the importance of muscle memory and the idea of repetition, particularly at this level. And I think that's where hero bands come in really well because it gives you the opportunity to throw off another team's muscle memory. We were talking before we went live about the prevalence of Lucio, Kiri, Sojourn, and Genji. If anyone's ever heard me cast, they know that I have a love-hate relationship with these core four because I think they're all healthy characters individually. They're all really high skill, and you can do a massive amount. You've got so much agency on them. But I have seen them in every lobby for the last like 2.5 years. So at some point it becomes a bit boring. However, people have a lot of reps on those characters. So if you can find a way to disrupt them, if the flex DPS on the other team only plays Genji on an escort map, could be time to rip that ban and see if they can reinvent themselves. Because if not, you've got a massive advantage. And don't really need to make a case for it, Yaffa, but that is like fundamentally why I think hero bans are excellent for Overwatch, and they probably should have been introduced about 5 years earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. And there were definitely, experiments and attempts by the popular streamer Jane at the time, who was also, well known as being a coach in OWCS back when that was still a thing. And they did try it, and they had an attempt, and to somewhat mixed success. But I feel like the current iteration of the hero bands with the heroes that we currently have with Overwatch, after they've added a lot of new tanks, DPS supports, I think that, as you were saying, these kind of hero bands and the style that they're doing is honestly really good. And to speak doubly down on the very thing we're talking about, hero bands are incredibly strategic. We've seen that before. We've seen this with, I believe it was another team member in the same organization as VA, Callisto, one of the teams playing today, who did an absolute masterclass at strategically banning heroes. And I think purely off the back of that, they won that. And if you do want to go and watch that, you can find it in the YouTube, one of the fonts in, I think it was very at the start of the season of
Mm.
season 3. So do go ahead and watch that because they put on an absolute masterclass in hero bands.
One thing I will say is you have to be good with your hero bands to get this far. So let's have a look at our bracket as well, just before we pop into the series. And here we go. As you can see, it's the lower finals, and we've got the upper bracket actually with Siege securing themselves a spot in the grand finals, which drops Killswitch into the lower. And Killswitch are going to be waiting eagerly for whichever team comes out of this game. As you can see, Flanktons actually dropped the series to Killswitch initially. Before we look at the lower bracket as well, I believe we have an all important grand finals to hype up as well. So maybe we can have a quick look at that too. The rookie division finals, I believe, on Saturday, uh, 8 p.m. Eastern. I would say Finducts versus MC Solstice. I just said rookie division, so lower SR for sure, but still the competition is going to be just as fierce. And congratulations both of those teams for making it, and best of luck. Looks like it's going to be a rematch from the uppers, as you can see, Solstice versus Finducts. Hopefully Solstice can go for the run back and put up a bit more of a fight. But yeah, I wish both of those teams the best of luck for their grand finals. Now let's get back to the lower bracket just before our game starts of the Challenger division. Yaffa, you notice anything interesting here going through the lower bracket? Just having a look at some of the games going on. Any upsets?
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's a few things that really stand out to me, which is VA Callisto here having an amazing run through the lower brackets here, starting out in the lower brackets already before going on to this particular semi-finals. But if they are going to be winning this, Flankertons or VA Callisto, they're going to be going up against Killstreak, who were an incredible team, unfortunately sent down into the lower bracket earlier on. So but these 2 teams, I have a lot of thought between these 2. I think these 2 teams could really be in for quite a fight. Vinny Calistro have defeated some very difficult opponents with MUC Celestial. We've seen them before on stream. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how these 2 teams are going to be going down because it's not going to be easy for either of them, I don't think. They've made it this far, but they've got an even tougher road ahead of them.
Yeah, and this is the thing with lower brackets, right? Like it's an absolute slog. And often in a lot of tournaments I've played, particularly overseas across the pond in America, I always say that the lower bracket's actually a buff because with the way that those tournaments get thrown together, you get more time with your team, you get to settle into a meta, you get to potentially figure out a meta, you get another crack at it in an official, and you grow with confidence, and you really find yourselves out. But it's when I go home, as you said, the pressure is so high that oftentimes teams can just crumble. There's such a thing as the upper bracket curse. You have a fantastic regular season, you go all the way through, and then even on the same patch, you can fall apart in the grand finals. But we're not on the same patch. We're on a different patch from the entirety of this tournament, and there is one character that, as I said, is vaped our way back onto the screens and is threatening to hook all of us if we don't stand 25 meters back. So I don't know if we've got anything prepared for the patch notes, but if not, I guess we can talk about what we should expect to see going in.
I mean, patch notes has always been an interesting one, especially recently when with the recent release of Overwatch 3, as we're all excited to have heard Overwatch 3 coming out. I'm so sorry. The big update that came out with Overwatch 2 that changed like almost all of the perks, all of the things, and introduced a couple of bugs as well that were somewhat infamous with the Cassidy uh, being banned at one point because of the crazy bugs going on there. But that's quite a while away now, even with all these kind of changes. And I wonder if that's made any changes to how these teams play. But the most recent change patches, I'm not so sure.
I'm curious to say because you look on the surface and you see like if you find out the graphic, you see all the popular dive characters have been nerfed, but realistically, Lucio had 2 damage tapped off. Genji deflect went up 2 seconds on cooldown. I don't think Tracer got hit actually. Hazard lost a little bit of burst damage, but they still have such a high damage threat and threshold. And Hazard should have never been really able to one-shot targets from full HP anyway. It would be them pincering with a Genji or a Tracer at any good level. So that damage will just get made up by a flanker. And it looks like as we go over to map pool, we're going to have our first map highlighted. And I believe, if my eyes are correct and the graphic is right, we're going all the way down to South Korea. Busan is going to be our first control map.
Yeah, Busan has been in the game for a long time. Another one of these mature maps. In fact, actually, most of the maps at this point are pretty mature. We do have Atlas as an option, which is, I think, the newest map available here to be selected. But Busan, well known for its high ground, well known for the points as well. Some of which are very favorable for Junkrat, for example, or maybe you got some really nice Widowmaker sightlines. We've really got to be talking about the strategy and the kind of heroes that are the best to be picking rather than the ones that are strictly the most fun to be playing.
Yeah, AD. That is. So I got flashbanged for a second there by information on my on my Discord. I got like absolutely flashbanged by it. But yeah, Busan. Just to go back to the point about patches again, I think the we might see some hard today. As you said, bans have come in. I've been completely flashbanged. I apologize, guys. Yeah, we've got bans coming in. Callisto have banned balls, so I assume that means we're waiting on Flanktons at the moment to respond, which protects tanks. A ball ban means that all the other tanks are open. I said we might see Rotok. Zarya is also one as well that I should mention. I'm known some parts as John Zarya, despite being very washed on the character, but I've been its biggest advocate for a while. Not just I think it's only good, just because I like the character. But now initially, my first reaction to the new minor perk that she got, Yafa, was it actually wasn't that good, and I played it for a game, and I was like, yeah, this perk is really good. So all those hours on Zarya and can't even tell when a perk is good. But you get your perk often before you get Graviton Surge. You build it up pretty fast, and it just gives you good uptime for the rest of the game. Particularly, it's great at keeping energy. Zarya a lot of the time will function playing at distance with right click anyway. Um, and we're getting a Genji ban from Flanktons in response, just as we got that info in, bringing it to you live and direct. Good bans for both teams. As I said, Genji's been a common flex DPS since the birth of Overwatch 2, so great muscle memory hit, I think, for the side of Flanktons.
I'm not so sure about that though. I know Flankton, they've chosen to ban that Genji, but the Genji has kind of been hit with yet another nerf recently with the increase in the a cooldown, and I'm a bit surprised to have kind of seen that um, when I didn't really see all that much Genji to begin with. I know he was kind of a strong hero, and
Yeah.
in many ways, in sort of the classic trio of Tracer, Genji, and Sombra, who all have kind of similar overlap in how they play. I didn't really see much Genji, and especially with how strong Tracer is, I just feel like Tracer is just a better choice, like 80 to 90% of the time.
I would say that the Genji definitely offers a bit more brawl aspect. But yeah, I think Hitstand and Tracer has been the default, particularly with the prevalence of Hitstands. Although saying that, a lot of them not really relevant on this cast. Been seeing a little bit of Overwatch CS meta with the birth of Wuyang, Wuyang Kiri, Wuyang Brig. I think I've been seeing a lot of Wuyang Lucio as well, but particularly a lot of Reaper Tracer. Hit stands on this patch seem to be not very good. Again, I just think it's the lack of mobility that can come out from them. Although saying that Surge and Freya do. I just think the added damage of the Wuyang as well means that hit stands, if you don't position well, if you don't have that Lucio speeding you around, potentially, you can kind of just get like 3-2-1s and you're dead. This is the thing with Overwatch. Like, if you get 3-2-1 in Overwatch 2, you are dead. I think Peel is still relevant in this game, but teams are definitely rewarded by going first and going for the stronger hit and then trading backlines rather than looking to potentially like peel a hit stand carry. I think living against a full dive in Overwatch 2 is incredibly difficult. And we'll see if my theory still holds up on this patch today.
Yeah. Wu Yang is probably one of the strongest supports out and around at the moment. I think they just got so much potential to um, keep things going when things are going well. I don't think you have the same kind of assistance that an Anna is going to be providing you, but you do have that sort of overlap between an Anna, where you can sort of keep the team alive with a lot of bulk healing, and you can also get out of the way as well to protect yourself from dives. However, we have heard from the admin that Wu Yang is in fact banned for this tournament. I think just because
They
Wu
killed
Yang
him.
came in, yeah, well, Wu Yang came in like halfway through the tournament, just at the very start of the playoffs, and actually, I think it's a pretty common ruling within a lot of tournaments where if a new hero comes out during the tournament, they kind of see how things go and then maybe allow them or keep them banned depending on how things go, depending on how early it is. And we're obviously quite late in the stages, so I guess this sort of makes sense.
Yeah, competitive integrity, ladies and
Mhm.
gentlemen, loves to see it. And of course, Rihan's been everywhere, but it's going to be good to not see him in this lobby. Bad news is we're probably just going to get Kiriko in his stead. I think the lack of presence of Rian probably gives rise to hit stands and maybe some duelists a little bit more. I do think, to be fair, that Rian actually is a good character against some of these flankers. You can do so much damage, particularly when you get the triple ball per. It's
Mhm.
going to be interesting to see because this is very much a Rian patch that we're on. Has been nerfed, but nowhere near enough, because that's how any game treats its new character. They'll release it overtuned, they'll dial it back down a little bit, it'll still be strong, and then depending on if they like or dislike the character, they'll sort of keep them there. We had that with Venture. Overwhelming feedback was that they are just horrible to play into. And I think Ven is not bad on this patch, but they definitely got way more of a bullet in both kneecaps compared to Wu Yang, who I think got a light tap on the wrist for this. But as you said, no Wu Yang, so I think Kiriko in their stead, Yoffa, and I'm really interested to see because I think if these teams are playing in other tournaments as well, they're probably streaming with Wu Yang. So to now go into officials without, it should be interesting.
Yeah, I think it is going to be interesting. But on the other hand, I know this is a different opinion than you, but I also feel like the patches isn't going to change all too much of the
Probably not,
strategy
no,
that
to be
we've been
fair.
seeing earlier on in the playoffs after the Overwatch 3 patch, as I like to affectionately call it. Um, I just don't see there's going to be a huge amount of change. There's a few changes here and there to Tracer, to Widowmaker, to Torbjorn, but I just don't think that a lot of these, like aside from Tracer, I just don't think these heroes are going to be seeing all too much play. I don't think the changes are going to be that impactful. Maybe minus the hazard change, but I don't know. I could very well be wrong, um, but I don't think people are going to be adjusting to the meta quite so significantly from this kind of patch.
No, I agree. Um, as I said, I'm coming in trying to hype up the changes and said Wu Yang meta. Potentially, we might see some Roadhog, but
Mhm.
I'm unsure because you can look at the patch note stream um, that I referenced earlier, and you can think, oh my god, they buffed Ramattra, Torb, Widow, Brig, um, Hanzo. They buffed so many characters, right? They buffed so many. But in in retrospect, actually looking into the numbers, it's not major in that aspect. That isn't anything I would say that sort of absolutely forces you to pick, particularly in hero bans. Because if you think something is overtuned, you can just ban it at least for a map. As I said, I think Hog is good, but there are still so many answers into Hog that are viable. Zarya Reaper is good into Hog. You can mirror it. You can play Orisa. I don't think she gets one shot on this patch, particularly with the lack of a Wu Yang, who would often poke um, poke her out and maybe force cooldowns early. Right now, we're just waiting time on redoing picks. So it's a small delay, but we're looking to get in as fast as possible.
Yeah.
I guess just we can just talk about the map. Like Busan has been set.
We could indeed just continue to talk about that. I'm sure there's like a lot of things that
Busan
we could also
selected.
talk about. It's I do unfortunately apologize for the delay. Like Jace was saying, unfortunately there was some problem with the face it and the lobby, so we have had to remake the lobby unfortunately, and the bans will be coming in soon. And when we do, we'll be quickly into it. And thankfully, because of how face it works, the games after that will be going in very quickly. So do not despair. Although we might be off to a bit of a slow start, um, you'll be in for quite the ride once we get going. Uh,
And here we go. Hopefully,
but
hopefully we get into it soon, right? Hopefully.
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Hopefully, we do get into it soon. I always enjoy casting these kind of games where you're in kind of a community tournament, so you do get to see some great names and also some familiar names as well. I think I mentioned briefly that I've seen one of these members before, Cole underscore CTS on the side of Flanktons, and if you're anybody from, say, the saltwater community who have played in any of the saltwater showdowns, I'm sure that is a name that is familiar to you because they are one of the moderators, administrators of that particular tournament. And I am excited to see what they're going to be pulling out because I believe they are also coaching coaching a couple of teams who have done incredibly well in past tournaments. So I hope they are going to be using some of that knowledge to, you know, make some really good adaptations to the kind of things that are going to be thrown at them by their opposing team via Callisto. And I think that could be a significant factor to seeing how this kind of goes down. And I am looking forward to seeing how this map goes. But we are heading on to the first map of all, and this map is one of the favorites for Junker. But what do you think about these map picks and these hero picks as well?
Yeah, the ball ban obviously leans into forcing VA, forcing Flanktons to play a bit more of a coherent and unsplit style, as in they're probably going to be more on the same pixel, on the same lane they would with the Wrecking Ball. Ball is fantastic on this map. I can absolutely agree why teams have banned it. Looks like we're going in. The comps are, well, I'd say fairly standard. As I said, Ven has actually popped up via Callisto. Devo on the Orisa. So Orisa profile picture. Not that much experience I can see from the player cards, but yeah, just looking to try and poke out early. They've got to keep the hazard of Robbie off their backline.
Yeah, well, hopefully they're going to be trying their best to do that, but unfortunately Robbie's diving into the back line, and thanks to that, their team has been able to pick up a couple of kills. I think that's all that they need to be able to try and capture this high ground now, force them off as they now captured the point, giving them some excellent progress straight off the bat.
Yes, I think VA Callisto get a little bit jump scared by the hazard there. Ven also is a great character, just being able to bypass. And on the same time that the hazard goes in, Orisa just doesn't do a good enough job of landing any cooldowns and denying that angry shots. But Tifa's won the side fight, and all of a sudden, Devo's made a back. It's just fight over.
It is unfortunately going to be looking like fight over there for Flanktons as this Orisa is going in, trying to get the back kills of the back line as Callisto now capturing the points. And they're still looking a little way far off from the ultimates, and they're looking like they're trying to play this quite quickly. So I'm interested to see how this goes down. But the Tracer has been picked as well from Callisto.
It's some really quick fights from both teams, and I think that could only benefit the comp with Ven and Hazard. But if this hit doesn't go well from ICG, they might be in trouble. Only the drill dash to escape. Ooh, Devo's,
Yeah,
Devo's.
trying to go in, jumping in quickly, picking up the kill onto Davio. The tank is down, and they're trying to kind of regroup, find where the remaining members are, but they seem to have all just buggered off onto the other side as the hazard comes in, trying to disrupt the composition, try and find the kill as they chase down, putting pressure on, warning off the enemies and isolating them to get those kills. And they are able to, but unfortunately, this Tracer still on the point, trying to cause some disruption. Doesn't commit the pulse bomb, which I think is wise, but it does go down eventually.
Yeah, I think Callisto needs to be a bit more aggressive in that rotation. They do have the Geno speed ring. They should be looking to actively start with Teaser because too many times on this map, Flanktons have just been allowed to walk in and ignore the Orisa. And the reason you pick Orisa is she can just bully your tank. This is one of the few tanks that you can't really afford to ignore because she's got insane pressure. David was walking in, going early, and I think it's just leading to Flanktons ignoring the horse and going straight for it.
Yeah, here comes out some ultimates as well from Flanktons, trying to get those, push that into aggression, turn that into aggression. They do isolate the Tracer, weren't able to really capitalize too much off of that Kitsune rush, but the Orisa does come in very strong previously, earlier on in the meta. Very good at anchoring, finds another kill as well onto the tank, and it's starting to look dire for Flanktons here as another ultimate comes out, not able to find any kills, thanks to in part because of that escape with that mining there from the Venture. But it is more than enough for them to capture the point, and they do have 2 ultimates online, which I think should be enough in the upcoming fight against Flanktons' 2 ultimates.
A really well played, expensive fight from Callisto, but they do have that all-important Juno Ray. And as I said, it's going to be about stuffing the choke. Tifa had a little bit early on the offhand, but going a bit too aggressive, missed the hit timing with that Orisa, but luckily Davo actually had a really nice solo kill onto the Soj. And once the Soj goes from this comp, you just lose so much. Well, there goes another Soj. Rip.
Yeah, it's a great ultimate there by ICG, able to find out and pick up the kill. Now they're focusing down this Orisa who's on point, just what their team needs to pick up those kills to flip the point once again.
I think, again, really quick flip. It's pretty much only the Venture ultimate that is invested. Callisto, again, having control of the choke, again, pretty much getting to kill box. This Flankerton dive that comes through, again, admittedly, it's harder when the Venture can burrow under, go for the initial engagement. They've got that Juno Ray, and now it's going to have to come just to get out. Let's see how well Flanktons can fight it, if at all.
Yeah, absolutely. They have all their ultimates online as well for Callisto as they pop out, trying to find it, and they are able to secure that objective, but there's just no real support down with Davio right at the moment, although they are having this duel. Ultimate comes out and is trying to find those headshots, isn't able to find anyone just yet, but Tifa is able to connect with that pulse bomb, finds a kill, as the rest of the team are flanking around, trying to support their teammates. Capture point is flipped already, as they enter into final fight territory on this first round.
Yeah, Yoffa, I love how Callisto played this fight real quick, by the way. You can see off screen, like in a Shakespeare play, that they actually put the pressure onto Robbie. They get from the Soj nose tag on some pressure 2 lanes, and then actually fake it, double back, and force objective. So really well played from Callisto. I think having objective prior, having objective control, and forcing Flanktons to touch might have just run them out of luck and out of time. But saying that, ICG and Robbie, was that like a 2v4, by the way? I think it might have been.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too crazy map 1, but it's like 2v4 surely, right?
Not quite. I mean, there's still some time left to play because Callisto are able to come in time to get the touch, but it's just not enough. They're not able to stay on the point long enough.
How did they win that?
Flanktons win that. I mean, I don't know. I think it was still in the cards, Callisto to win that. I actually, even if it wasn't winnable for them, I love the fact that they tried, and I think that's the kind of mindset that you need in these teams to try and make sure that you are going for those victories and that you are winning, even when it seems like it's not, because you never know what's going to happen next.
Oh, absolutely. I guess it was a 99 fight, so they didn't really have much of a chance. I love how, as I said, I love how Callisto played that opening fight by basically just baiting Robbie to stand objective by forcing point, which is what Orisa does best, and then blowing up the Angry Scott with a pulse bomb. I think it was a 3 versus 1 on point, so that hazard wasn't going anywhere, thanks to the help of Davo, CG, and Tifa. But I mean, ICG and Robbie, Hazard Venture, if you can combo, they have so much burst damage that you're never truly out of a fight, and that is Overwatch 2 for you. Lose 1 and it doesn't matter. But saying that, I think now this is not lose 1, this is lose 2. Flanktons, they're so aggressive on these first pulls, by the way. Excellent use of 3-2-1 so far. They're just on a corner and they just go.
And I think that's really all that you really need as well to be trying to 3-2-1 go. And as a team, you're working together, you're focusing them down. And that's just the kind of strategy that you need to be pulling out at these times. And it's the winning strategy. You know, it's how you're winning. If you're going to be spending too long like debating and not working together as a team, you're just going to get picked off. You're just going to get isolated, and that is a losing strategy. Getting isolated, and it's great to see these teams doing precisely not that. And you see once again now as they group up together on the right hand side of the map, focusing in on this. Backline support character, but unfortunately for them, the DPS are watching their backs, picking up a kill. Now Robbie's all by themselves on the point, and that is going to be a fight win for Callisto there.
Yeah, you see the difference this time. Callisto managed to rotate to point. They find the pick. Actually, Tifa runs on the side angle and sort of just blitzes down cold. And then that's your Sojourn gone, who is just the primary target for both of these teams. I will say the Flanktons backline, a lot more durable, a lot more livable into the composition of Callisto, who are definitely playing a bit more pokey, considering you've got ICG and Robbie, who are looking to go all in, and Bridge is a pretty good dive target to go into. Secretly a ranged character, not quite the anti-dive demon that she used to be.
No, but this Tifa, though, they are trying their best to get this kills, and ICG as well on the backline, but Hepster has been going absolutely wild. An unappreciated hero so far in this fight. They've been getting plenty of kills, picked up the kill as well as the Tracer trying to chase. Oh, but unfortunately, the pick up the health back just in time. But still, it is more than enough to be pushing Flanktons all the way back.
Yeah, they're so aggressive in holding space as well. And it's going to be hard, I think, for Flanktons to try and get in here because you're coming through a choke point, and you would hope that the Orisa and the Tracer at the side of Callisto just sort of hope that hazard down. But Tifa gets caught early. Lucio damage patch reduced on this, so less damage out from the Lucio, but it didn't matter this time.
Yeah, and the stick comes out as well onto the onto the Orisa, but it's not going to be finding up any particular kills, unfortunately. Moral's coming out here from Flanktons up on the right side, but doesn't really matter, unfortunately. Callisto picking up the kills onto Robbie, onto those divers, diving that back line. And it's really just going to be clean up from there because they lost their tank early on after that fight, just not able to capitalize on it.
I think this fight really showcases the live potential. As I said, with Peel and Overwatch being a bit dead going in, but when you've got Brig Rally, absolutely, you can live for sure. So much healing coming through with the Inspire. And I think ICG did so much work in that fight, jumping around like Ezio with that Assassin's Creed Rogon, if you look at that white skin. But nonetheless, Brig Rally, they're just too tanky in Callisto. One crew up on point, and now Flanktons has to fight on objective against the comp that is designed to do just that.
It is ICG here trying to find another kill, but gets Tifa. They're the one who wins the duel this time around. Flanktons are in the final fight for this round, but they do have plenty of time to try and fight back. Able to capture the point, now trying to find some extra kills. But unfortunately, Davio and Hester, they're the ones who are being bunkering down at the back. This Arista, they're good at anchoring, and they did a great job of it.
There we go. Close round one, much less close round two, and as you're really seeing the strength of these characters. None of these characters have been nerfed on this patch. Brig, in fact, has been buffed. And Flanktons are clearly having a hard time getting onto this bridge. And Juno historically can sort of just get absolutely eaten alive by Tracer and Sojourn, and your flight ability. Not the most useful, you kind of have to stay grounded and careful, particularly with your hitbox as well. It's quite easy for a Tracer on the side angle to pincer and hit that one click to pressure you out or even just send you back to the spawn. But I think Callisto really comfortable at being able to hold space. I think the times where they've struggled to try and take space off this Flanktons comp, it's sort of just forcing Flanktons to be proactive, forcing them to make the right play and then punishing when they don't. It's much more of a quote-unquote passive style, but that's what you get when you play Orisa Yafa. That's what you do, and you can hold space and just punish them one by one. If their first hit isn't perfect, they just lose so many cooldowns and they get run out the building. Nice whip. Down they go. What did I say? It all starts with a single cooldown. CG there. Um, that flail smooth like Mayo. Call it a miracle whip. And just mayonnaise, I think. I don't know. I learned that this week, but nonetheless, really nice flail from the Brigitte. And as I said, the hit doesn't come in out of cooldowns. Boom, flail to the back of the head. Well, that's a Sojourn rail straight to the body, and so actually gets caught lacking. Now Flanktons has to do 4v5. Definitely not. And I think Davo's having much more success in these first 2 rounds of being able to really force out this hazard, playing aggressively, blinding cooldowns in, but also looking at the people around and behind him as well. Just so many times this Tracer and BCO have just been in open, waiting to get hit by cooldowns. And Callisto haven't missed. Absolutely not. And it's leading to a really difficult dive coming in. Flanktons, they don't really have the most objective force as well, despite the best efforts of ICG. That's a bash. See you later. For on the clean up. I mean, the Tracer's doing so much for this composition, right? Like, they're going off on the side angles alone. If they're brawling main, they're trying to burst down the hazard, pressure them out. So many targets that the Tracer can go in, they need to be locked in. It's about going on the right target. And now, with ultimate fight, this is do or die. Flanktons have got no percentage on this point. They've just got a rain and a pulse bomb to do it. All eyes on ICG, because this rain probably should be easily dodgeable, particularly if they can go first with the satellite beam of their own. Ooh, Davo falls low. Yeah, what a hell of a break, though, because now it's only Rain committed. Flanktons have 3 ultimates for this fight coming up on a 4th, which is this Kiriko one who's going to build exceptionally quickly. Callisto, to be fair, I don't think they need particularly a powerful ultimate, since they've got a railgun, they've got an overclock to go as well, and that's going to be a great tool on the off angle that forces a response, forces an angle. Not sure quite if they can force it to the objective without a rally, but if they get there, it's going to force Flanktons to go for another dive hit, and I think that's a way harder option, a way harder win condition than just holding this base. Robbie, Cole. It's 2 for 2. Wait, Cole is on the angle with the OC. They've got charge. Illegal fight win from Flanktons, actually. Callisto, I thought they went well for the hit, and yet it's going to be difficult for sure. Sorry, guys. Yafa had a small internet EMP. Didn't realize Sombra was in this lobby. Nonetheless, I think it's important to look at the ult states in both of these teams, right? Because they've got Kitsune Rush, and it's going to be on this angle. Callisto seemed really, absolutely married to this idea of playing this side fight, left side of Dojo. And Sorachi's Pulse Bomb, Sorachi's Sound Barrier, there you go. It hits it now, it allows him to take a fight that probably they might not have been able to because of the poke. So how low Robbie gets with the Sound Barrier and keeps him in. And now it's 3 for 2. Yeah, the hazard goes in, but they die. It doesn't matter what they do. If they stall out time, the Pulse Bomb comes in. Actually, really good timing. Flanktons have kind of turned this around. Now Davo has to go Orisa. They've got a good ult to walk in with the Sojourn. But Sojourn on this angle, if you track it, you should know that Sojourn is the primary target. You don't really have to stand that hard on the objective, even if you've got a Tracer. There you go. They disrespect the off angle. Hebster gets one. Davo dies, so rally on the objective is going to keep them so tempting. I think good for now. Tifa and Dave 04. That is not good again. All your hit potential gone in this fight. Flanktons, how have they done this? It feels like they were in such a bad spot. Callisto had control of the objective. It was easy. Hebster still trying their best, though. On this off angle, not yet dealt with. Of course, those choices both went back to the spawn. That rally just expires to get the final essence of that pulse bomb. Final essence of that rally, sorry. And CG. Actually, Loki did God's work in this fight, anchoring on the objective. 99 tick, boom. And from the jaw, beats. Pull it back.
Absolutely. I mean, thankfully, I have fought back against the Sombra that was in my network, and I am now here and back. And I did get to see that absolutely incredible work from there from CJ. Amazing work on the Brigitte, and honestly, Brigitte is probably one of the best characters as well. You've got an amazing ultimate, you've got great sustain, especially in these broader kind of compositions that you were pointing out. And if you can just stay alive like that in the situations that you're playing, where everybody sort of has to come to you because of point, if they don't come to you, they're losing point, they're losing their game. You're going to you're a great advantage, and I think they played that really well, and their teammates as well kind of coming in, giving the assistance, getting the kills as well on this side, and letting CUICG just sit on point and get all of those kills.
I will say that Flanktons definitely ran out of resources. They take a really quick fight, as I said, with that sand barrier on the off angle. There's not just 5 stack on the opposite side of the of Dojo. I don't even know if that call out's still called Dojo, or which what the correct one is. But they play with that right side of the map from their perspective. They play away from the Bongo, away from that mega, the other side. And they take a really aggressive fight early with Sand Barrier, trying to blow up the off angle and essentially just go for a 5-man off angle hit, if you can even describe it as that. And in the end, they just run out of resources. The rally on the objective, they've got no answer for it. It allows the Brig to just anchor, and they don't have the damage realistically, particularly once the hit stand goes. They don't have the damage, and that allows Hebster's off angle to be freed up as well, because it's you've got to deal with the Brig who's capping the objective and winning the game. They've got to deal with Hebster who's got overclock and on the off angle, and realistically also winning the game if you think about it, because the Soldier's killing your whole team, but the Brig is the one actually forcing you to contest the objective, because Overwatch is an objective-based game. There you go. Objective-based game, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Nice reverse. Nice comeback from Callisto there, because they were down and out a little bit for that map. So nice 99 run back. Wait, Yaffa got EMP? No, you're good.
No, maybe not. I don't know. Am I heard or not?
Yeah, you heard from me. I assume you're heard for
this is the thing with some complicated things. I am here. I am here. Apparently, that's amazing. That's important. I hope that continues. I hope I'm also heard by chat, because you know what, chat, you're all lovely, and maybe you should find somebody else in stream, anybody, and let them know that they are looking amazing today. Because you know what else is looking amazing? This Kings Row pick. Okay, I love Kings Row. It's like my favorite map of all. So I am happy to see this beautiful map chosen today.
Kings Row is the classic. If I had precisely €1 for every time I'd casted Kings Row as a map 2 in a tournament, I would buy a private jet, or I would buy a mansion just for my wife. And
Every time that you
would.
cast it, every time that a match comes up as well. Speaking of chat and things, you should make sure to be voting with your stream points as well.
Yeah.
Because
start gambling, chat.
Maybe
Sorry, stop predicting, not gambling. Stop predicting.
Stop predicting.
Yes. Yeah.
I wish I could use like my power of time travel to assist with my ability to make predictions, but unfortunately, I don't believe I am able to do that. But I think it's going to be quite interesting to see how these two teams go, because often the kind of control map is a bit of a litmus test. And from that, I'm sure you guys in chat are going to be making your choices as to who's most likely to win. But who's your choice, Jace? Who do you think is most likely to win this Kings Row map?
I'm not sure, because particularly with the Orisa ban, it means that the broad composition that was so good is going to be cut out from the side of Flanktons, and that's going to be a bit more difficult for Robbie and the crew. So it's going to be a bit easier for Robbie and the crew going forward, as Callisto got so much success off Davo on that Orisa, just being able to anchor on the objective. But on the flip side, Venture was a good pick as well. Both of them very prevalent, very dominant on Kings Row. Now, we might see the Roadhog, but I'm not sure. I do agree that control can be a litmus test, but also it can be like fake, because I've seen so many teams get control as a mode, win it, and then get like 3-0'd the rest of the series, pretty much. So I'm not. The only thing I'm marrying to right now is my wife, Yofa. I'm not committing anything anywhere else. So I'm not, as I said, I'm not committing to anything, to any ideals, to any theories. I will continue to speculate and sit perfectly on the fence until I can be proven right or I can be proven wrong. And honestly, I most of the time get proven wrong. So I can't wait for both of these teams to prove me wrong. Flanktons, though, on the defense, coming out with a kind of a greedy-ish composition, but you've got high ground to manage it. Robbie back on the hazard, but this time there's no Orisa to get right in their face, which should allow them a little bit of easy. Callisto, are we in Korea? We're on dive, Kings go first. Are we in Korea?
I don't know. I think we know in Korea. No. I mean, we're clearly in King's Row, and unless we're in.
Are we Korean? Are we Overwatch CS Korean? Let's find out.
I don't think we are, unfortunately. But I guess it's not too surprising to see the kind of compositions that we're coming out with. I mean, Hazard has been very strong on King's Row, but with these recent nerfs, and I guess particularly because of that Orisa difficulty they've been seeing, I guess there's no surprise. But they're going to try and make it through this choke point, and they managed it once, but unfortunately were beaten back eventually by Flanktons.
Yeah, and Hemster on the Tracer there tries to go point, unfortunately just get a bunch of cooldowns chucked at them. Look how aggressive Flanktons are on this upwards push though, just really not letting this dive come in. And this is why I think, unless you are in Overwatch CS Korea, a dive on King's Row first is a little bit hard because you can get absolutely stuffed at these chokes, even just by a recall. Like, it's so easy value, and you don't need to be a genius with your hand or your mind to be able to get value off the Reaper character. You do, however, need to not get shot like that from Hemster. That's going to force them out. That should be the go angle. Unfortunately, Davo tries it and just gets one-tapped by the angry Scottish man.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing a great job here. And now they're even chasing down the players who have been putting themselves into a bit of a difficult situation, right? If you position yourself in that little cubbyhole in that room, you're really kind of quite stuffed. And I mean, how does this kind of like dive composition really play on this map?
So what happens is they're just relying, I think, on Hemster to land an absolutely huge right click or left click. Because they need to play it in multiple stages. Right now, Davo is so flimsy into their composition, it just allows Robbie to... I mean, look how much damage they take there. Finally, they go down, get to trade onto Callisto as well. It's so difficult for Callisto to get in. They've got to be so careful with it. Looks like, no, they might have split the map just enough.
I don't think so, because although they might have dived onto that Kiriko has got such great mobility, I don't think it's going to really matter. But they do manage to pick up that kill onto ICG, and that could be all that they need. But Robbie is able to come back and is reinforcing, so they're going to have a good chance at recontesting. But look at these ultimates online. They have so many ultimates online, and it's just a matter of time until something happens, something breaks. Ultimate comes out here, finally, by Cole. It's trying to find those kills, but this beat comes to save them, despite all the pressure. Now they're focusing down Robbie, so all Robbie's going to be getting is all the hailing and support they could possibly imagine, especially thanks to this Kitsune rush coming out, but it's not going to matter. Tifa, they are able to get that kill with that Genji blade, and it's going to be just enough to break out Callisto. They come out on top, trade outs with those ultimates. The Flanktons, they still have a couple of ultimates in the back that they chose not to use, interestingly.
Yeah, I think you have to hold it, because you're already down in this fight. Your Kiriko rush is less than ideal because you don't actually take any real space with it. And because the Kiri rush from Wallard comes out first. Excellent use, to be fair. I was going to say going in, Callisto's ultimates have to be perfect because I think they're just so much worse than what Flanktons had available. But I think the combo of Nano OC into Sound Barrier, it's just one ult for two. CG's Sound Barrier is perfect. It's so good. Once that Nano OC gets bubbled, jumped on by the Winston who has Sound Barrier, and Primal if they needed it, you're just chalked, and then you have to try and win it elsewhere. Realistically, you don't try and win it, because you just hold second point, hold gate with these other ultimates. It's just over-investing in a losing fight otherwise.
Yeah, well, here's some more ultimates coming online as well. Robbie using the ultimate, trying to pin down a couple of members. Cole is able to capitalize it, getting a kill onto Hemster, who's been a right pain in their backside recently. But it is enough for them to push back the progress that they had made and maybe set up a little bit of a choke at the bookstore.
A little bit. But ICG stays alive on this high ground. The Wraith form is going to spare them their own blushes for now. Dave will take so much damage on the approach, but look how far back the rest of Callisto are. That triangle is going to have to come out. about 2 or 3 seconds. There you go. Great read on the Death Blossom. So good from ICG.
Yeah, ICG had spent a while looking for that and is able to pick up those 2 kills, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough, unfortunately, for them. They are going to be ending up in a 2v1 situation here with supports and the backup finally coming. But I feel like that was a little bit dicey to Flanktons if they're having to rely on 2Ks from Death Blossoms. I mean, realistically, Death
Good
Blossom,
read,
if you get
though.
like 1 kill, you know, that's good enough, right? That's normally sort of a benchmark to set for a Death Blossom.
Yeah, absolutely. At minimum, particularly against a composition like this, where if you're Death Blossomed, you can't race. So you should just get blown up, particularly by the Freya. Ola coming in, Sandbarrier, an aggressive investment here from Callisto.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be paying off for them because they look how aggressively they're going. They're able to dive all the way in, and Flanktons just couldn't do anything as Tifa goes absolutely ham on that Genji, picking up 3 kills already, building up that Genji ult. And now they have 3 ults in the bag, ready and waiting. Flanktons not far behind, but
One thing I
not
will
sure they're gonna
definitely
do.
give props to Callisto already is they're just really aggressive with these 3-2-1s. They know when they can go fast. They know how to go fast with certain ultimates. A lot of teams really botch these fights when they've got control of tempo and they can completely Callisto, and I think in a composition different, I don't think their composition is better on paper. They're still taking these early aggressive fights and seeing Kiriko run. And it's just a Dragon Blade, so once his Kiriko buff expires, Callisto, wait, they're still winning through Kiriko Rush. You know what I mean? Like, what? How? Huh?
I don't know, but B comes out as well, and this is all that they need to push back against the tide of via Callisto at this point in time. But it might not be enough for them, unfortunately, to prevent this rush. Another ultimate invested isn't able to find anyone, but they are able to get closer and point back as well to try and prevent this from getting capped. But Hepster is doing all the work they can, getting those kills, able to pick up the kill onto Cole. And now it's so low, everybody on point.
This is almost like 2 fights, by the way, if you think about it, right, Alpha? Because they go in really quickly. I have to say, Callisto need to win these quick fights. In the slow fights, it's going to be the Soj, it's going to be the Reaper, it's going to be the Hazard that do win it. But luckily, they go for the first hit, and then they just kind of don't fully die. So then this CG gets Davo back in the fight, and then there's 4 of them. And again, Tifa is showcasing why Genji is such a fantastically versatile and really strong hero, because they get into a case where they're pretty much crawling, and they need to clean up. And Tifa grabs that fight by the horns, grabs it by the scruff of the neck, and says, "Yeah, bro, I'm just going to hit every right click and left shift dash." And they get that final execution damage that they need to defeat an even tankier comp. And it allows Callisto, honestly, quite an elite second point count.
It's able to find 1, but it might not be enough in this upcoming fight. As 2 go down for via Callisto, and that could be all the Flanktons need. Treading out that ultimate there, trying to force them out, and it does force out a little bit of a timeout for via Callisto for now.
25 seconds left. Callisto have got so many ultimates there. You would think surely from this position, economically, that it should be a 4-point cap. So I think he's just on Flanktons. Potentially hit his rest. Do they know they're down in ults? Do they go for the risky trade? Because they might get a second fight if they're quick enough. It looks like they've got the opening first pick though. Massive.
Yeah, absolutely massive. ICG getting that kill onto Tifa, trying to find and isolate these kills as well. Hepster here on the high ground, using their positioning well.
Okay.
Saya able to use that beat as well, trying to keep the teammates alive a little bit longer. They've been timing that beat so well in the past. And now Davio is just here on point, trying to find those kills. They're waiting out this Wraith as well here, trying to find that kill onto this Reaper who's been causing absolute problems, but is not able to escape the deadly gaze of Tifa. More ultimates being invested here as via Callisto. They didn't use all their ults at once, but it's looking more and more likely they might be able to get a full cap here, able to kill Cole as well, who popped their own ultimate. And it just wasn't enough as more and more players come down onto the point. Via Callisto looking like they're going to be able to full cap here. Flanktons trying their absolute best at this moment of time to maybe prevent this full cap. Switching to fast heroes. Tracer comes out, but it's just not enough. Davo as well coming through, trying to get those kills. Does indeed. Cole and Clad go down. That is unfortunate. Via Callisto getting the full cap there.
Yeah, and I think Wellord lived throughout this entire fight, so excellent work from the Kiriko, and if not, pretty much died early enough that they could get back in. It was just the supports on that final fight, and I thought, okay, Flanktons are there, like they've got the ability to recontest, but then Davo comes in and I'm like, okay, it's just chalked. Down they get. Wait, what's this? Chat, are we Doorman? Wait, Doorman. Doorman, what are you doing in my Overwatch universe? When did they put that there? Is this like a character tease? I have never seen this before.
I actually have no idea. I feel like
What is-
our
what is
observer is
this?
just as confused as us, looking around. It as I believe a Persona reference, if I remember
It's
correctly.
probably a Persona reference, right? I would say like, Doorman, bro, what are you doing in my Overwatch lobby? Go back to the Cursed Apple. You have a Baroness to check out. All right.
Exactly.
Anyone plays Deadlock, they'll get the reference. It's not. Figure it out.
No, I'm not so much of a individual who plays Deadlock or Persona, unfortunately. Not quite my cup of tea, unfortunately. Much preferring Overwatch, weirdly, despite its many questionable features. But I'm yet to play Silksong, though. The most recent game that is, I'm sure, got many people hyped, and I'm looking forward to it as always. But we're looking here at a potential kill. Never mind.
Yeah.
Cole not able to find the kill.
The real question to ask is, when will the deadlock be broken in this round? Who will get the first kill? Real quick, I've been playing the new state all day. That game is so fun. Nonetheless, at this tank matchup, by the way, I want to get a bit more deep into it when we have time, because I think Davo is playing it excellently. I think the Hazard has so much agency here. This Winston, you have to be careful you don't get choked out. But look how brave Davo has been. And I use that term unironically, just running at the Hazard as Hebster, forcing that attention off the Hazard while Hebster is on the off angle behind them. The Reaper might get an exit ping, but it is just that. Luckily, respawn advantage on the side of ICG and Co.
They're able to get back just in time. But I guess that's all that they really needed to continue this, as they kind of start to play a little bit slower, getting set up, trying to choose their positionings, as the fight is going to be coming sooner or later. Hebster already nearly at ultimate, just shows how much work they've been doing. I wonder if they're going to be committing their ultimate already to this fight to try and secure it for sure. But again, you're going to be evaluating those kind of equations. Ultimate does come out. Isn't able to find anyone, unfortunately goes down instead. The favor's in Flanktons' hands at the moment, 3 down already. There's no way they're going to be losing at this kind of disadvantage, but they choose not to push at the moment.
They might get a recontest. I'm not sure, but I think it's so difficult. As I said, going into the tank matchup, like this Flanktons comp is so much more brawly than this Callisto side. They just ultimately end up in a tight room against Hazard as Winston Genji, and you don't need to know much about Overwatch to know that you're basically never going to win that, especially when you're not at full HP Bravo and Tifa, where not too much playmaking Ballard can do there to save them. Already committed to TP on Suzy just to keep them alive. ICG finds Hebster somehow. Feels illegal. It's not
Sort of, but if they're already losing. Sorry, if they're already losing one member, it's not quite so good, especially Hebster, who's been doing so much work in the team recently.
Now Cole's on the angle. It's big for the Flanktons team here. It's Robbie. I think this team has been more than it's Robbie face. Actually, I would argue that everyone is equally pulling their weight, and you should respect them accordingly, because they're putting up a much better fight in this series. 4 minutes, second point. They're going to have to dive out here, but
taking the time, and the fight is already breaking out. We're halfway through as ICG is chasing down those kills. Robbie be able to pick 2. Tifa chasing down Klar as well with that Genji blade. And in the end, it's going to come out in Flankerton's favor. The attackers in this route, no doubt. They're going to be making even more progress here, as Tifa and Hebster having to back off just a little bit with only a Lucio to support them.
Yeah, so what do you think of this Callisto comp so far? Because honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of it on paper. I like the adjustment raised to D.Va, but I just think that this Flanktons comp is so durable. It seems infinitely harder to play.
I mean, is it? How do you find? I think I think that going Reinhardt would be an amazing choice here, but that's mostly just because I think Reinhardt's fun to play. Maybe not necessarily the most optimal, but I just feel like in this kind of situation, they've just been really struggling to kind of break through and deal with these really brawly characters, and this tank that can close the gap as well.
D.Va is trying, nonetheless, to try and break through it. Unfortunately, Rally Bash to your face. That is PTSD from 2019. Gonna go home
and Flanktons are going to be capturing second point with not too much difficulty, even though Callisto did invest a lot of ultimates into that fight. You saw the beat, you saw the blade, you saw the ultimate as well from Hazard coming through.
Yeah.
And they just were not able to break through, even though Flanktons used a couple. And that Brig ultimate has just been so powerful as well, being able to keep them alive when they need it.
Yeah, so as John Zarya, I think that this character is incredibly broken into this Flanktons comp. All of your dive is coming basically in the form of brawl in front of you. You have bubbles to negate both Robbie and ICG's damage. You've got a great bubble target proactively with Tifa, and you get free poke off Cole's Freya as well, and you get combo with Freya for yourself. Personally,
Oh, but they're timing this Ana perfectly. Even though the Ana was trying to play in the position perfectly as well. You can back and forth. They time that dive flawlessly as a team, and they just won that entire fight straight off of that one pick.
ICG doesn't have the right perk, does he know? Did we read the patch notes? I'm going to assume it's a misclick. I'm going to assume it's a misclick because the other perk is infinitely better, especially on a map like this where you don't need to TP the whole distance. So that's going to be a bit of less of a boon. It's going to help in this mid fight because obviously the Soul Orbs are going to be vital healing on top of your already good life. And the teleport is just so good to be able to dodge with us, much smaller with it as well. So I'm going to say that Flanktons is a little bit weaker than this Reaper doesn't have this perk, but it's been working absolutely fine so far.
So far, so well, I suppose. I mean, Callisto with that switch to Ana, I think is a pretty good choice, but you might be wanting to make a switch with your tank and switch with your DPS too. Maybe even a Junkrat might be a good choice here, but again, going in for another dive hit. Tifa, unfortunately, taking the brunt of it. ICG going down, trading out as well, but Cole able to pick up that kill onto Hebster. Looking good so far on this offense. As Sora is able to build up this ultimate, give that nano to their teammates, and now, unfortunately, Callisto, not unfortunately for Callisto, thankfully to Callisto, unfortunately for Flanktons, Callisto just able to come through in the end. What kind of happened at the very end there?
I mean, Rally and Rain are just really, really good value. Callisto sort of just blink and they morph onto the really good comp now. They're playing the Break, they're playing the Hazard. It's making him much more durable. ICG is not the Reaper for the sake of a Tracer not being able to blow up the tank now as easily as he could, and the Rain comes in and absolutely shuts down any process on the fight. And they had 4 minutes going into this last point, did Flanktons. They could have made a composition adjustment. Now I think they're just relying on ultimate. Speaking of Nanoblade time, the weak stick is pulled out.
Yeah, and he's able to pick up the kill as well. And now they go into this back rooms where everybody has been, climbing around to hide away from this tank. But all it is just makes it easier for Tifa to slice and dice, pick up those kills. And now it is looking a little bit drastic for Flanktons. They've had so much time back and it's been slowly whittled down. And it's going to be all the more valuable if they are able to reach that third point. Or perhaps Callisto will be able to defend it.
I think Flanktons going into third, and when they made the adjustments, just needed to breathe and press tab. They might still be good because Cole gets the pick. They have Bowler coming up as well, so they might not even need to. They might just be able to win it off the sake of mechanics because that's a dead Davo as well. See you later.
It is. Yeah, sorry, it is indeed another dead Davo as sitting on that high ground, able to pick up those kills where they need to in relative comfort without the DPS coming around. And now they've only got a few meters on the point left, so they're going to be having to switch. In fact, they're going to be having to rely on these aggressive things. They only took one pick here for Flanktons to really kind of get into that right space, and they were able to pick up that kill and pick up those final little bit of difference. Win that fight after so long just kind of stalling it. Why did that work at the very end out of all these other attempts that they made?
I think it was just Ultimates and Callisto making a mistake. Davo goes quite deep and they found a pick early thanks to Cole as well on the Freya. The hit stand comes up clutch and we're going back to the doorman ult, I guess. But nonetheless, I think most importantly, it's just Davo goes too deep, gets caught with the bowler. Rally is a really big ultimate that gets invested late in the fight as well. But I would just say that it's ultimately Davo and co deciding that they really need to try and hit early because they're down economy-wise in terms of Q buttons. And Flanktons just get the fight that they need. They were knocking on the door for 4 minutes. They get onto a mirror comp and eventually the ults come down. I think it was a nice rain from Robbie as well to find that target. But yeah, Cole gets the pick on the Freya And that's what happens when you play Frey. Every now and again, that Frey character will just find someone, and yeah, that's a free pick, and that's a 5v4.
I mean, that's kind of what you're relying on, but like, I feel like if you're relying on that a little bit too much, your composition kind of starts to show a little bit of weakness, especially in longer fights where you are able to survive and you are able to, trade out between different characters rather than pick up one of those clean kills. I mean, sure, if you're in a 5v4 situation, yeah, you're probably going to win it, but how good is that
Oh,
5v4
nice
situation?
nade.
Oh,
Huge nade. Oh my god, Zeroxy. All of them purple. Go on, clean it up. There we go. Wait, Robbie's traded? Not ideal. Not good for Flanktons. Callisto have a huge advantage after... Wait, ICG ran it down as well. I think
he did,
too far.
But Tifa was able to pick up a couple of kills of their own, and I think that's going to be enough to like make the difference in the team. Like, look, Flanktons are all the way already back. They've given up so much space in expectation of not being able to hold it.
How do you
I mean, that's probably not the right move, but
How do you nade 3? How do you purple both backliners
and then lose
and Hebster and then lose?
I don't know, but they managed it somehow. But it is overtime nonetheless. So the more ticks that they're able to get, the better it is for VA Callisto here. And they have been doing a great job. Flanktons is just not quite able to make that recontest work for them, and they are just hiding behind, biding their time, I suppose. They know that they've got to win one fight and then overtime's over. But
the VA stands for very angry, because that's how I feel after watching them get naded. Like, just walk main slowly, get hit with Ananade, and then win. VA very angry. Overtime fight is not going to keep pressuring down. They can just stall it. They're going to come up on Nano, and Nano plus ICG, and Nano plus Robbie. Probably good enough. The fact that Callisto have to anchor on the objective is always their downfall. Flanktons, they've not got much options to go on some Flanktons, but it's still on the table. Speaking of, Hamster going on the Psycho push? Okay, no. We're playing main. We're containing the feed.
We are indeed containing it for now, but the ultimates are coming out. Cole picking up a kill. Davo getting a kill on the support on the backline, trying to force them out into the end. There's only a couple of members remaining at this point, and they're all low on health. But you've got to break and attack all there, doing their work. And unfortunately for VA Callisto, they do not make it through the arch. They do not make it any further, and Flanktons are able to defend, but not without giving up first point. And so it's still more than in the cards. I mean, we at least know that a draw is no longer possible, but V and Callisto, they if we see another defense that we saw on last point, I think it's on the cards,
Yeah. Okay, so technically, nerd emoji, a draw is possible, but the odds of it are very, very low. Of course, right, because you can push it basically within 1 meter. I think you can pretty much get it on the golden box and don't move it slightly past. You can actually draw this map. I've seen it happen, but twice in like 6 years of casting. So if it's going to be the 3rd time, I'm going to be very angry, as I said earlier. But nonetheless, I think going back to bans, I think the Orisa ban has come in really well for Flanktons. But when you think about it, they can't now ban Orisa for the rest of the series. This is probably one of the better Orisa maps to ban. But also banning Orisa here, if you have a Zarya in your back pocket, it's kind of playable. I guess this means they don't have a Zarya in their back pocket, and now going on to other maps like Escort and Flashpoint and Push, Orisa very, very good. So I'm not going to say realistically this is one where Flanktons kind of has to win it. But it's definitely their map to lose if it makes sense.
Yeah, I do think so. Orisa can be very strong, and Orisa's just also been in a strong point as well overall. I think with Orisa having basically all of her stat points put into anchoring a site, anchoring a point is very good in a map like this where you've got a lot of choke points. But we do see already as the fight kind of goes on, trying to use what abilities they can, try and build up what they hear. But Flanktons already split between 2 different points, and are they going to be able to capitalize on it? I don't know, because Davo's looking like they might have been falling into a trap here, going low, dying unfortunately to ICG. Robbie going down themselves, trading it out. As Tifa here, who's done some incredible work on this Tracer, is tiptoeing on and off the point in the backline in a safe position, trying to keep their team alive, picking up those kills where they need it, and they are able to win the first fight. So far, so good, but they have They have 16 seconds left here for Flanktons to try and capture the point, and it's not looking good for them. They spent all that time trying to set up and just weren't able to
They need a tag
capitalize
as
on it.
well. They need a tag as well, and I'm not sure who it's going to be. It has to be Robbie to touch. So they have to go on and off. And then they've got a cap and such as well. Davo gets the great first pick. I really love how Callisto played this, by the way. Such aggressive positions that can counter the rotation from Flanktons, and that's going to be it. Callisto taking 2-0 lead, full holding. So
Yeah, it
in
does indeed appear
overtime.
to be it. Unfortunately, the Lucio, despite their best efforts, was not able to make it to points in time. VA Callisto again picking up yet another map here in this series, and it's not looking good for my team favorites. I'll be honest. I was really rooting for Flankertons. Got a couple of members in there that I know quite well, and it's just unfortunate to see them struggling a little bit in this.
Yeah, it's a really good read from Callisto, to be fair. Like, you see
Mm,
how they rotate and you see how they respond. The Anna walks through Hotel, takes a really aggressive angle. Hemster goes under, and then as their supports walk out, up, drafts up, and basically catches both of them. The only bad thing that Callisto really do in that fight is Davo just overextends his welcome. If you look at, you watch any like OBS Sojourn, shout out EXO Shantai, but shout out EXO OBS Sojourn. If you watch any tank VOD with Hazard, the downtime is unreal. And you look at that fight from Davo, there is no downtime there. They are just constantly taking damage. And even with Hazard's 90%, 65, 70%, whatever damage reduction block that can go on for ages with major perks and a wall, you just can't do that. Davo needed just to find a way to leave, get back to their healers, seek space because the job was done. And even though they die holding such aggressive space that the rest of their team can hold up. So excellent job, I think, from Davo still to recognise and stuff that rotation, but also from the rest of his team for responding and actively playing off what your tank is giving you. Really nice read in the moment to say, hey, this is where they are, this is where we need to be. And it felt like the positions from Callisto were perfect to counter that rotation. And it took Flankerton so long, Yaffa, that was their one rotation, that was their one shot.
mhm.
And unfortunately, they are not Alexander Hamilton because they did in fact throw away their shot there.
Yeah, unfortunately not. They just kind of took a little bit too long to
Yeah,
go around. But I mean, just look at these stats between these two tanks, though. Davo 2K, 60 eliminations. They're
60
practically
bomb
neck
is
and neck.
wild.
It really is
60 is,
actually.
we've had Dave Robbie got 60 elims as well.
I think this is really talking about how these two teams have been playing it. They've been playing it like super aggressively, super quick, trying to go in and brawl most of the time, just like immediately off the bat. And we saw that as well in the first map. And seeing these two tanks just kind of neck and neck onto these stats, I think it really shows that in this kind of situation, the tanks they are kind of on even footing. But
Yeah.
it's that sort of little bit of teamwork, those rotations, those strategic calls, those mind reading of what the team are going to be doing. That's been really the key part in this map so far.
And one thing I think is really interesting that you can find out from those stats is if you look at them again, is Davo has less damage, less deaths, and less final blows. So he's living more, but doing less when he's alive. It doesn't matter because he's living more, which means he's holding more space for longer. It was under 5.6 deaths versus over 7.8. So there's a certain tank that's staying alive considerably more than the other tank, and that is ultimately leading to way more value. Tank in Overwatch 2 sometimes is just about living as much as as it isn't, as it's as about
Yeah,
actively getting value. You go into ranked, where you kind of need to be like Mr. Uptime, John Uptime. You go into competitive, where you can actually just be John Downtime and John Live. You can just be Mr. Staying Alive. You can be the Bee Gees. That's all you need to do, and you get immense value out of it. This map, exactly the same. Sigma, on this map, so good. You anchor car and you just push people. Interested to see if it gets banned as we head on over to the map pick.
I mean, you mentioned Sigma on this map, but honestly, I'm not so confident about Sigma. Sigma is just one of those tanks that can get jumped down on so quickly, and
Yeah,
especially given how these two teams have been playing, I just think it's just a really not a good choice with how these teams are being playing. Because you pick that Sigma, the other team are just going to be playing as they have been with their super aggressive styles, and you're just going to be on the Sigma now. Sure, the Sigma has great, utility, great abilities. They're really good at poking, but that's that. They're really good at poking. They're not good at when like the entire team has jumped on them. You know, I just don't think Sigma is going to be a good choice there. I think you got to be choosing that Orisa or maybe even that Zarya that we've seen.
Yeah, I mean, I think Sigma has kind of a bad match. She has an all right matchup into Orisa, but not really. And Sigma is obviously not the best matchup into Zarya. So Robbie is playing it. And have you ever picked Zarya with your life on the line? The Blue Lock meme has finally come into fruition. It is spawned. We have picked Zarya with our life on the line. Again, this is a career classic, and we love just randomly not Zarya.
Yeah, well, I think Zarya is actually. Sorry, I think Zarya is actually quite a strong pick.
Yeah, it's good here, definitely. It's way better. Almost accidentally contradict myself. Sometimes I think they pick Zarya for no reason. But no, I agree.
Right now, we are looking at Hebster, who's maybe going to be hopefully getting a headshot sooner rather than later. It's always juicy to see some good Widow on this map, a classic as well. But nonetheless, though, the rest of the team have walked onto Flanktons, who are now around the corner, trying their best to do some damage, poking around, but nobody's going down just yet.
Yeah, Callisto.
I don't believe it!
Oh, CG1 there's no way!
It's so close to death! Oh!
Devo also has Devo and Co also have very minimal damage for this area. She can use bubbles, Loki a bit greedily, but also she's just not really going to have trouble dying eventually. It might take her a bit longer to get to high charge, but she's going to live with it. And if you consider the Life Weaver powers as well, looking for some Devo to try and bypass this area. To force Life Grip at least, but once Devo's Fortify goes, they are out of cooldowns, out of time.
Yes, you really want to be trying to get your way past this Zarya, past the tank. It's sort of what the tank's there for. But unfortunately for them, they are able to take down Robbie. And more than enough time has gone down that they are going to be backing up just a little bit after losing their supports. But I just don't think it's going to matter. I mean, you see this already. They continue to be aggressive. This Hanzo is trying to get those kills, trying to melt down that health pool of that Orisa, but it's just not going to matter. The Orisa can continue to be aggressive. They've got the support of their teammates. You've got this Genji Blade backing you up to try and finally get those kills as in the backline, no matter what's being thrown at you. Being a Callisto, getting that first map.
There we go, first point coming in. Callisto just forced it. Nice. Tree of Life. Great response. Tifa just says, okay, you're going to tree yourself on point, and I'll see your backline in Valhalla. See you later. And sends them both to meet God. By they go.
Spawnroom's God, question mark? What?
Yeah, absolutely. No, they meet God.
Hidden Overwatch lore.
Yeah, real. Overwatch God. Could objectively be profit. Nice grab coming in.
But I wonder if we're going to be seeing a Hanzo Zarya, and we do indeed see that classic combo come through. Oh, and ICG is able to pick up 2 kills, and I think that's going to be enough to force them all the way back. Sure, it's not the tank, but it's both of their supports. You're not going to be getting any healing or any of that utility that those supports offer.
Yeah, so with the removal of Grav Crush, rest in peace, one of my favourite perks ever, which dealt up to 40% of your HP, that perk got removed for this new one. Blizzard just bring it back and make it major. Thank you. Nonetheless, Zarya's perk gets removed, which makes Grav a little bit harder. Luckily, Hanzo's good on this patch. They don't have a defensive ult, so Grav Dragon is just easy, and you're kind of okay with it, because when Zarya's good, she's so strong in the neutral that you don't mind sync onto just kill 2 people, guarantee a fight with. It's less common these days, but still, double ult combo, still very, very good. Cole is OCing actually. Let's see. Hit it?
No, okay, I didn't. He wasn't able to find anyone, unfortunately, but Tifa ends up killing the Cole there. Claire low in the backline, eventually gets killed by someone.
Great life grip.
But it's unfortunate because as one of your supports down, another one of your supports with Life Weaver ultimate, but there's nobody around for the Life Weaver ultimate. The Cole is just running away.
It was too late. You would think actually into the comp that Robbie and Saraxi should be able to live forever with that Tree of Life, but it just comes out too late. Callisto somehow winning long fights against the Zarya composition. It's not.
I'm not sure I call that a long fight. I mean, it felt pretty quick to me. It was kind of a little bit of foreplay at the beginning, and then all of a sudden, all your members have just died, and oh, it was a bit disastrous after that. Oh, Soldier 76 being able to kill a character I never thought I'd see again. ICG though and Robbie trying to equalize, picking up kills on one of the supports, the Juno, before they even able to use their ultimate. Now it's just Tifa and the Orisa, and eventually they go down.
I was about to make an adult reference there about you used the word foreplay, and I would say I was
Oh no no
build
no
up,
no
and
no!
then no, we're
I
gonna
should
get
be
banned.
10 times more careful with
Yeah.
with what I
No, no,
say.
no, no, no.
Clearly,
Sorry, serious analysis though. A minute 35 for all this pressure that Callisto have got. That was an expensive ult into that previous fight. Again, now they don't have because they're now on Ven. And ICG got a lot of ultimate charge on the fight. Robbie does have Grav. Grav's onto Soldier and Mantle. Should force Lamp, probably can put them down. They just need to go in. This Graviton Surge, hold it for space. Like, don't grab the Orisa. Maybe try and grab the Genji. Oh no, we've grabbed the Orisa. Oh no.
oh no, we're going for the game. Oh, we've been able to find one kill. Trying to find for another, but the grab isn't able to be capitalized on. They don't find any of the kills there themselves, and via Callisto, maybe in part thanks to that blade, is just able to pick up those kills and just walk away from the ultimate that they found themselves in the middle of.
Yeah. On top of the Grav as well, even if you grab the Orisa, like she can still use cooldowns in the Grav, which is annoying for you. So you want to sort of try and wait for her fortify and then grab her, wait for your own energy. Because I think Robbie's been on decent energy this whole time. Look, he's got the jump ups and the pierce perk. Jump ups on this map, meh. Me personally, meh. But I can see it definitely gives you a bit more movement. Oh, ICG just it's a little bit caught going for it.
Now, a little bit aggressive gets punished for it, unfortunately. Saiji getting the kill that they need as well as a support, punishing that aggressive play, not able to head into the ground sooner enough. But they are able to pop this ultimate here as well, thanks to CG. Sorry, oh my god, Saiji. Hopefully, I don't be making quite as many mistakes as these team members, but ICG are making up for it on their own end. After that unfortunate death, are able to come back, get those kills that they need. Hepster setting up on the backline already, but this Robbie though is that like 100% charge and is
Yeah.
pushing them back, and I think that's all that they need.
Without the jump ups perk as well. Maybe could have been a bit braver on the Orisa, but just opts to more so importantly hold space. Also, I think when you're playing Life Weaver, you can absolutely take the perk that gives you as much energy uptime as possible. Against this comp like Callisto, having Zarya with bubbles and high energy is just so backbreaking. Because your Orisa, like, she can't play main, really. Normally, a lot of tanks struggle with sort of just being able to essentially face tank the whole team to walk in. But you don't need to face tank the whole team, just face tanking your Zarya is enough. The Nano went on to Robbie as well. So they've got another grab. Let's see Tifa slices ICG on the sidelines. Robbie dies as well, so there's no support from Zarya, no Tree of Life, no nothing. They leave them out to dry. It's not looking good for Flanktons so far. I think they get a little bit split and it just leaves their Zarya out.
Yeah, unfortunately. So, I mean, you do have a little bit of a panic ultimate here on the point to try and stall for time. Graviton comes out as well, perhaps a bit late, not able to find anyone. Unfortunately, gets isolated, just focused down by everyone because the whole team of VA Callisto are alive. They were able to walk up onto that top ground, find those kills, get the kills that they needed, win the Genji duel as well.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, just everything started to fall apart at the end there for Flanktons with that, with the aggression, with the losing the duel, with things like that, and then they were just in a dire position. And I mean, what can you really do at that point?
I
There's
really
nobody
like
alive. Sure, you can
uh,
grab. Sure, you can do this. It's just nothing's really worked out for them.
I like the Zen ban coming in as well. Freya is a menace on this map, and even though I think Zarya is potentially fine into it, it kind of isn't if you think about the long fight as well, because Freya is just so far back that you're never going to reach her. I like the pick of the Life Weaver. Good durable. I think it's been nerfed a lot, to be fair. But still on this map, I would think you've got so many good tools. I just think Flanktons get a little bit split. Zarya doesn't have anyone actively with her, and one thing I will say is that Zarya really just hates 4 characters that kind of AFK and stand behind her. She needs someone to play with her and to almost sometimes go past her as well. She's absolutely the king at holding space, but it's not really the best character at taking space. Of course you have bubbles, don't get me wrong, but you need those bubbles to then get into that space. And then if those bubbles are gone, you then can't hold that space because you've got 450 HP. So it can be a little bit tricky, and I think a lot of Zaryas at this level struggle with that. And again, we're on a composition here where our Zarya is just kind of isolated and only there to shoot the Orisa and potentially sometimes the Genji. But if Tifa has been playing it well, Tifa's never going to get beamed out by this Zarya.
I think that Zarya is not really the problem here. I honestly feel like this Dreamweaver is a
No.
bit of the questionable pick on the hero supports, and I'm glad to see that they're going with an Ana and an Alari. Alari, I've not actually seen a huge amount of play recently, but the
Playable.
Life Weaver, it plays well when you're playing slowly, but you weren't really playing anything that could force that sort of slow play from Callisto, unfortunately. But they are being forced back well here, able to make excellent progress so far. But I'm worried we might see a repeat of what we saw in King's Row. Excellent first point progress, but then just a bit of a stalling out later on.
I should say Tifa. There you go. You just get caught in front of the beam deflecting. Nowhere you can go. Flanktons pick 2 beam characters, and they've got a lot more pokes now as well. Really nice, well played from Flanktons here. Just sort of read the Callisto comp and get him in the neutral. This should be a dead Davo, particularly with that nade as well.
It should be, but they are trying their absolute best
Got
to
to
keep
break
them
them.
alive as long as possible. And maybe
Sim
with a
is
little
so
bit of
good.
extra teamwork or team members that were still around, they might have actually kept them alive. But I think that was just, again, a little bit ridiculous. But they are chasing them down nonetheless, trying to find those extra kills. Hepster able to get the kill, unfortunately, onto Claire.
Wait,
But
we're on Sig. Sorry, Yafra, I don't want to cut you off. We're on Sig. Wait, it's worse. It's low-key worse. Why are we on Sig? Is it worse? They were on a Richard.
I mentioned this at the very beginning of the Sig.
You can't play it. Well, you can't. The reason is it's just they're on Sim, and Sim completely invalidates the existence of Orisa on this match and in general. Particularly with Zarya Bubbles. Zarya Bubbles running at an Orisa. As Orisa, you can't play because of Sim Zarya Bubbles. But Sigma might low-key be worse because you don't have Fortify. And you don't have spear and damage threat. Holy
Cole is on a roll!
Yeah, Cole is rolling.
3 headshots already, and there's a Widowmaker in your composition. That's exactly what you want to be doing. I said, like, last time, the last map, that you don't, if you're relying too much on getting those kills, then there's too much. But, I mean, that's exactly what you'll be doing as Widowmaker, and Cole is doing that beautifully time and time again. Sorry, now going aggressively, going with this bubble, trying to get those kills. He's able to get that bubble up, but unfortunately, they are able to stay alive, and that's all that they need to try and reverse progress. But it's enough to keep them off point, and Flanktons do capture second point already with 5 minutes in the bag. But are we going to see a repeat of King's Row?
You would have to do some very thorough checking of PayPals if they don't cap within this 5-minute time bank. I'm going to be honest. Okay, Cole. Okay, it took them a little bit, but once they've got space, they're really showing us the confidence and the mechanics from here. Go on, someone peek him again. I dare you.
Yes!
See you later.
Clip montage is in the making right here. You're watching it. Cole is absolutely demolishing this team. Unfortunately, Hepster chooses to put an end to their reign and gets a headshot of their own. But just look how far forward they pushed up already. They're already in distance of like one team fight win, and you're capturing the points. And they have ultimates online as well. They have this nade. They're able to heal this Zarya up. They're backing off, able to reset already. But they're looking kind of dire for these ultimates. And if Cole is able to win that Widow Jewel, they are going to be practically golden, I am sure. Look at this again, aggressive once again, pushing up onto this Widowmaker, forcing them out. Tifa is able to get a kill short onto the back line. But just look where they're positioned. They're already so far up and aggressive. They're able to get the right angle on this Sigma. And this Sim is just able to push up too.
Could be a dead Sigma. We have Nano Boost, but I think the Ana goes down. Ana isolated. No Alari can afford those. Why? Hepster. Nice. Okay, if I'm Hepster, I'm typing for no damage. Just for mental warfare reasons. That's it.
I think I must have cursed them or something, because unfortunately via Callisto are able to stabilize and bring back what for me looked like an almost certain victory for Flanktons. But I guess it just really wasn't in the end. Tifa able to exploit some of those weaknesses, able to pick up those kills onto those supports, and in the end they come out on top, able to stabilize. Oh, I shouldn't have said anything. I shouldn't have said anything.
If Cole has a Tracer in their bag, low-key, I think it's a completely fine one swap. Because then you can just continue to rush down this Sigma, and you can have your Tracer and a Lari on high ground together. It's not the most, it's not the most deadly 1-2 punch in the world. It definitely works. Now Hepster's force now. That gives time for Flanktons. They've got Graf, they still have Nano, and they've got Sun as well. Tifa forced out, flips in.
But Grab
Grab.
comes out as well. He's able to
Huge
try and
grab.
melt him down. He's one of those members as the Sigma is forced to walk around and try and avoid aggressive
Here we
ultimate
go.
from this
Oh,
Alari,
I
trying to
think.
find someone.
Okay.
Forcing them all the way back into spawn, but now they have all their members alive on the point, pushing card. Sure, the Tifa is able to come out and try and find those kills. The Doomfist, well, switching fast, trying their best to get those kills, but they're just not being able to make quite enough progress in this time. They are starting to slowly win out this fight. Cole is able to pick up the kill, but David is picking up the kill on those supports. Just a couple of members around, and Cole is the only one
How
on
do they
point. It's just not
stabilize
going to
this?
matter. This timeback of 5 minutes is going down quickly.
So what we're seeing here is we're seeing Flanktons win compositionally, and then when it's getting into split fights, we're seeing the mechanics of Callisto come in and trade. They're looking for just trades because they've got reasons to want to fight. Now this last point is pretty similar to something like 2CP, the accursed game mode that has long been forgotten and buried. It's back for about a minute and a half now here. Both of these teams. This Callisto hold is still now very, very durable. Zarya a little bit weaker on this point because of the high ground. Potentially just get a one swap.
Man, it has to manage to get that kill.
Hebster taking some. Hebster threatening again to take someone's head off. When I'm mid monologue, mid pre-fight. But I think the fight has very truly started now with ICG looking to hunt him down.
Yeah, absolutely. And now these team members are looking around. This switch away from this Sigma onto this Winston is only going to make things harder for Flanktons, I feel. Trying their best as well as they start to face a team that's coming around from the side. But like you're saying, Flanktons are a little bit split at the moment. You have this Genji on this high ground. It might be enough to try and do the work that Genji needs to do to try and get those kills, to draw those team members away. But it's just not enough. Flanktons are still just struggling just a little bit. Oh, the ACG is able to pick up the kill onto Saiji, and it might just be enough. Maybe I shouldn't say anything. I already cursed them once before. Look at this, Hamster picking up 2 kills already, and the Winston's going on in the background, picking up those kills. Oh, I should have said anything.
I mean, the Nano Winston.
Another fight.
The Nano Winston finds both Clara and Saraxi on the off angle. Perfect. Really good time from Wellard as well. It looks like these two are both on very confident now. Wellard and for showing off the impact. And obviously, there's the quote-unquote kind of pick of Winston into Zarya. I think it's a lot more even, but most importantly, Winston is fantastic into the rest of this Flanktons comp. Really difficult for them to kill this Winston when they've got Primal and when they've got Nano. It's just a free fight win. Wellard kills Cole as well. 10 seconds left. Can Callisto full hold. Flanktons had 5 minutes on the time bandit. It's just a grab from Robbie.
That's all that they have available to them in the ultimates. Aqua does have the Nano available. They do use it onto this Zarya, but unfortunately it's a C9, the via Callisto coming out on top. The Zarya Nano coming out trying to find those kills, but nobody was on card. They just didn't have it. It wasn't far enough.
Oh, Flanktons, this was their best showing so far. As unfortunately that loss means they've jumped out of the tournament. I really like this Zarya competition. Like way dropping worse than it actually was. It's all from the first part. I think Flanktons are so good with their composition and how they want to play that composition. But the issue is that mechanically and in terms of coordination in these split fights, anytime it's 3v2, 2v3, 3v3, 2v2, I think Flanktons lost like pretty much all of them, which just shows the power of VA Callisto. No longer very angry, very, very deserved that win from Flankerton. So that win from VA Callisto, really good full hold. Thought for sure we were going to thought for sure we were going to a map 4 Yaffa, but
I thought a map 4 was on the table like 3-4 times in that last map, in that last round. Franklin says, "Oh, look at this! They're doing beautifully. They're gonna get it." And then no, Callisto come out on top, and they just play flawlessly. They're able to find the little weaknesses, the little holes in their positioning, in how they're playing this. And Callisto just they played this almost perfectly. And I didn't expect this to turn into a 3-0 series between these two teams. Flankertons, I mean, I'm still processing those emotions. I was rooting for Flankertons to win that. They were so close so many times, but that C9.
There is such a thing in esports as a close 3. There's such a thing in Overwatch as a close 3-0. As in, you really compete, but just in the final moments, the better team makes that adjustment, and that better team wins the neutral fights. And just really good job, I think, from Callisto. I don't think Flanktons can be upset with how they played today. Obviously, beef some fights, but Kings Row and yeah, just Robbie is obviously the Flankertons tank, right? Flankertons, Kings Row, and Circle Royale, compositionally, you guys are spot on if you're rewatching the VOD. Compositionally, I think you did nothing wrong. I think some of your execution as well was quite good, really good with your 3-2-1s as well. Unfortunately, in just some split fights, so many individual playmaking moments from VA Callisto and teams like that rely so much on individual playmaking in clutch moments. It either eventually the wheels fall off or you just run all the way and win the things. You can't be too upset if you're Flankertons with how you played. Commiserations, but excellent job from them. That was a really good showing. And VA stay alive. They continue in our lower bracket.
They do indeed continue on, and they'll be facing against another opponent that has been incredibly difficult to beat. And they have really shown they've done incredibly well against the team who has made it into the grand finals already. Kill
Yes, kill
Switch
switch.
will be the next opponents for VA Callisto. And VA Callisto, I mean, I've seen them before, and they are an incredibly good team. And so it's no surprise to me that to see them win here. And yet, I am so disappointed that we did not get to see 5 maps because, I mean, like you were saying, it's a close 3-0. These exist in Overwatch, right?
Yep.
A close 3-0.
Flashpoint and push, by the way, would have been excellent for
Oh, they would have been so good.
Flankertons to build on that Zarya composition and really, really stick it to them. Because it looks like Davo, really sees the tanks that Davo was on, Hazard, Sigma, Winston, Orisa. This is why Zarya is good. She's got a positive tank matchup into a lot of tanks. And it's just really hard because most tanks at this level are really good at not getting poked out by the team, but oftentimes that tank will be able to poke them out. And when Zarya has real energy, she doesn't need a team to poke you out. Um, as I said, I'm really looking forward to getting my teeth into Zarya in this meta. And we saw the stats here from both teams. Honestly, it's still kind of a close series, like low key. If you look at it, obviously the averages per 10 minutes, but
Right.
nonetheless, how are we getting 55.7 final blows, but average death 67? How's that? I guess it's rounded up, maybe. But nonetheless,
Well, I suppose so, but it's yeah. There's a lot of things like that. It's one of those things that I also don't think the stats necessarily show the whole story either, right? In the same way that looking at the overall score or that it was a 3-0 in the series doesn't show that it was a close map between these two teams.
yeah.
I mean,
Let's give our MVP though, shall we, Yaffa? Let's not
it is. And to be fair, I really want to hear what chat would say. But for me, I've given it to Tifa, who's got a little bit of a different name in Face It, which is why we see. I was going to use.
Sunday
I sure, I
roll.
sure, I sure it's Sunderol.
Sunder roll. It's a gag on Sundere, I guess. I don't know what that word
Yeah,
means,
I
but I've
assume
seen
so.
it
I assume
around.
so. But I feel like for me, I nominated them as MVP because I just felt like they were doing such a great job on the Tracer, on all the DPS heroes that they were doing to pick apart
Yeah,
Flankertons repeatedly in that defense. They were finding those opportunities. They were getting those, winning those, Genji duel, the Tracer duel, finding those
yeah.
picks onto those supports as well. And I feel like that might have been key to winning those fights in the end with the 5-minute time back again and again and again by going
Yeah,
in, finding
absolutely.
those supports, picking off those supports, and as soon as they lost that support, the rest of the team just really struggled to stay alive. And it doesn't matter how good Zarya is at the moment, or and how you are
Tracer's
at being able to
Tracer's
focus
really
in.
good into her. Tracer's
Exactly.
great. Tracer's great into Zarya. The Zarya can never really touch you. And fundamentally for me, the reason I'm okay with Tifa as well, it's between Tifa or Wellard. I want to give shout out to
Mhm.
Wellard as well, who I think was fantastic. Also, the other support, oh my god, the name eludes me. That Lucio was fantastic. I mean, all of um, VA were fantastic today as well. I think particularly Wellard and Tifa. We're not kill feed readers chat, but when the name that you're seeing most in the kill feed is Tracer, that just means she's doing her job and doing her job really well and really consistently. And hit so many good pulse bombs, was really in sync with Devo as well. Tifa, Wellard, and Devo are just the core, the spine of that team. And that spine is, they do not have arthritis. There is absolutely nothing wrong with those bones. That is rock solid. That is stable. And it just allows so much
Mm.
else to go on when you've got those three, your flexible, your tank, and your DPS, who are just so consistent. And Tifa had a really good game today as well, so congrats to them. Or Sunday roll, whatever. Good job. Um, Rookie finals on Saturday, guys, and I'll throw it to Yaffa to wrap up.
Oh, you're throwing it to me to gap and end. Oh
Yeah, wrap
goodness.
up. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You got this. You got this.
Wrap
You got
up.
this.
I'm not a wrap, okay? I am a muffin, just to be clear. Those are two entirely different food types. Um, but to wrap this particular stream up, my word, I mean, what did we see? To start off, we were really excited for these two teams in this particular match, right? Both of these teams, it's really dependent on whether they can win or lose to continue on into these grand finals. Both of these teams had a great run so far, with Flanktons able to, starting off in the upper brackets, and VA Callisto starting off in the lower bracket going through. But then, unfortunately for Flankertons, despite they originally started off so strong, Vehicle is true. We're just able to play more flawlessly with less mistakes, able to make continuously excellent defenses at the final points when it mattered, picking up those kills. And now here we are once again with Via Calistro, the victors in this close 3-0 series between these two teams, going on into the finals, the lower bracket finals
Yeah.
for the Challenger division against Killswitch. And that is going to be another match that you really, really should watch. And I really hope that we get the opportunity to cast that at some point, because that is going to be another really exciting match between two really excellent teams. But that's not the only match that we're going to be having coming. We also got one on Saturday. It's going to be starting at the same time as this one does. So make sure that you've put that in your diary and put a reminder on your phone, even. And I look forward to seeing all of you guys there. I don't think I'll be casting Saturday, unfortunately, but you will still have two amazing casters nonetheless. So if you do want to stay tuned, make sure to subscribe, follow, and maybe even catch up on some of the games that you've missed that are going to be put up on the YouTube channel, Crown Cup Esports. So make sure you go and subscribe to that. But that is all from me. I am the Yappy Master Yapper. No wonder I have my name. I've been blessed with my wonderful co-caster Jace, and of course we can't forget our amazing three observers that have been doing today: Ember, uh, Zeus, and
Bro.
Faultimer, as well as our amazing producer Ebroth. But that's been all from me. Thank you very much for coming and watching. I will spare you and I will head off. I've got nothing else to say. It's the
Yeah.
end. We
I
can
just want to
go.
mention, that the muffin is in fact in a wrapper. So check my atheists. I'll see
Oh,
you all next
oh
week.
no!
See you
Oh
later, guys.
no!
Cut the stream. Cut the
No!
stream. Go, 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 go. See you later, guys.